Well, good morning, St. John's. It's good to see everybody this morning, and those of you who are worshiping with us online, we see you and love you too. Today is Visioning Sunday at St. John's. Yeah, right? Can we get a little whoop for that? I mean, I don't know. It's a day on which we will gather after this service to begin to think and talk and listen and pray about who we are as a parish and who God calls us to be in the years ahead. But if we're going to talk about vision, it raises the question, what is vision? Somebody asked me that. Okay, settled. Thank you, Mandy. I saw that. You did it. Good job. All right, glad you asked. Grab your bulletin. And I want you to look at something. I want you to look at the very top, on the very front, right under our logo, at the words printed between those two thin blue lines. You got them? It's familiar to you. Let's read it together. Wherever you are in your spiritual journey, St. John's welcomes you. Great. I love that statement. I hope you do too. I bet you do too. The thing is, that statement, first, it's not exactly unique to St. John's, but it does reflect something right and good and true about who we are and who is allowed to join us, so to speak. Come, you who are certain and you who are doubtful. Come, you who are sinners and you who are saints. Come, you who are old and young, rich and poor, gay or straight, black, white, or all glorious shades of brown. Come, you who have been hurt by the church, and you who seek to be healed. Wherever you are in your spiritual journey, St. John's, by God, welcomes you. That is wonderful. But that, my friends, is not a vision, it's an invitation. Vision is the answer to a different question, to the next question. It's as if someone might say, okay, you welcomed me on my spiritual journey. I've joined you. I'm ready. I'm here. Now what? Where are we going together? That is the question that we as a parish now set out to answer for the coming years. You see, your vision is your essence. Vision is who you wish to be, and it's the lens through which you view the world and the change you wish to make within it. It does not have to be complicated. In fact, vision should cut through the chaff and get right to the heart of the matter. Do you know what the corporate vision statement is for Disney? Disney's corporate vision statement is to make people happy. That's it. 4 simple words. Ask any person who works at Disney World, from the janitor to the CEO, what the vision of Disney World is, and they can tell you in a heartbeat, our vision is to make people happy. That then shapes how everybody there behaves. It shapes the world they're trying to build and the lens through which they view whatever it is that they do. But not all vision statements are quite so bubbly. Today, Jesus gives us his vision statement, and while it's just as pithy and to the point, it ain't exactly Disney-fied. Jesus came into this world with a singular vision in mind, and that vision was always the cross. Jesus' essence, the lens through which he viewed the world and the change he was determined to make within it, was always cruciform. It was always going to be about the cross. So today, after the disciples recognize that he is the Messiah, Jesus begins to lay out the vision. It says, "Then he began to teach them that the Son of Man must undergo great suffering and be rejected by the elders, the chief priests, and the scribes, and be killed, and after 3 days rise again." He said this quite openly. And poor old Peter, despite the fact that he was the one who got the question right about Jesus being the Messiah, well, Peter does not get the vision. Peter says, "Lord, I don't know. All this talk of suffering and rejection and death, Lord, are you sure? Take up your cross and follow me? Lord, that's not exactly a winning vision. To which Jesus turns around and says, hush up, boy. Get behind me, Satan. This is the vision. What Peter did not know, what Peter could not have known, is that Jesus' vision, Jesus' death and resurrection, would lead to the single greatest change this world has ever or will ever know. Through death would come life. Through despair would come hope. Through suffering would come salvation in a new world, in a new creation for all of us, including you and me. Which teaches us, I think, something about the difference between a secular vision and the vision of a Christian people like us. You see, in the Christian life, if our vision doesn't involve at least a little bit of risk, a little bit of take up your cross and follow me, if it doesn't wake people up and shake people up at least a little, if it doesn't make some people in the world around us scratch their heads and say, what in the world are those Christians over at St. John's doing over there? Well, then it's probably not a vision worth having. So what about us? What are the risks we're willing to take? What's the essence within us? What is the vision in our hearts for the coming years? Well, I have my own sense of the vision that is emerging from us at St. John's. In a world beset by so much anger and antagonism, I believe our vision here at St. John's ought to have something to do with love. And in a world beset by so much cruelty and hate, I believe our vision here at St. John's ought to have something to do with healing. And in a world beset by so much division and ostracization, I believe our vision here at St. John's ought to have something to do with inclusion. And in a world beset by so many grudges and people who just have to be right and make it known all the daggum time, well, I believe our vision here at St. John's probably ought to have something to do with grace. Love, healing, inclusion, and grace. You hear me say those 4 words all the time, because ever since I set foot in this place, I have been convinced that God is calling us to be a beacon of those things to the hurting world around us. I think it's who we are. I think it's the world we're trying to build. But I want to hear from you. So come after this service to Visioning Sunday, after everything is said and done here, and when you get over to Offering Hall, after we kind of set the table, so to speak, both literally and figuratively, I'm going to ask you 3 questions. Question number 1 is going to be, imagine a stranger comes up to you and says, tell me about your church. What makes it special? What keeps you coming back? What would you tell them? Question number 2, and don't worry, it's all going to be on the screen and papers in front of you. Imagine the world 5 years from now. Imagine the world 5 years from now. What is the one thing you hope everybody in Tallahassee will know about St. John's? And then question 3, imagine the world 10 years from now and fill in this blank. The world around us will be a better place in 10 years because we at St. John's blank. Then, after each question, once each table has had a chance to talk amongst themselves, I'm going to push you and ask you to report out only 5 key words to describe your conversation for each question. Those words will be the words that we then take to a small group of people made up across the congregation. I'm calling them our data discernment group, to begin discerning out of those words and your insights the next vision for St. John's. A little bit of logistics. Number one, the nursery is going to be open, so babies can go to the nursery and they'll be well cared for and loved there. Little kids go to Colleen Hall, where there will be activities and food for them. Middle and high schoolers, I want you in Offering Hall with us, because we want to hear from you as well. You are just as much a part of this congregation as anybody else. So when you go to Offering Hall, all of you, get your food. You can go in through the garden entrance or go down the hall and go in through the Calhoun Street entrance. They've got the buffet table set up so that you can attack it from two sides. So get your food, get it quickly. This service is the blessing. Sit down and start eating and talking with your friends. You'll notice at every table there's a little table tent that says facilitator. I've asked our vestry members to serve as facilitators and to spread themselves out among the tables, and I've also asked some of our staff to do that, but there are a whole bunch of tables. You might end up at a table that does not have a ringer at it, like a vestry person or a staff person, and so one of you will have to just pass that tent around until one of you decides that you will be the facilitator for your table. The facilitator role is easy. Just keep people on track. Don't let people go off into, weird stories about whatever. And most importantly, push the table to come up with their 5 words by the end of the conversation. Y'all know that in Offering Hall, the sound, the acoustics are terrible. It is what we've got, though, y'all. So put a smile on your face. We're going to do the best we can. Just have a little grace, try to hear each other as much as you can, and I will have a little ring-a-ding bell. Here's the one thing I'm asking of y'all, pretty please. When I ring-a-ding-ding the bell and you hear it, that means everybody be quiet. Can we do that? Is that a little pinky promise we can make to each other today? When you hear the bell, I'm taking this straight out of the playbook of Mary Call. She loves a good bell, so just pretend that it's her, sweet Mary Call Proctor, ringing that bell, and that means everyone get quiet so we can hear what it is that we need to hear for the next round. Y'all, here's what this comes down to. We live in a changing world. And that's the one thing that's not going to change. And so having a vision, a clear focus on who we are, where we're going, and the world that we wish to build together with God, well, when we have that, that means that no matter what the world throws at us, no matter who's in the White House or the governor's mansion, no matter who comes and goes from anything around us, that means we will be able to adapt and thrive and love and grow and make an impact, not for the sake of ourselves, but for the sake of the God who loves us and who has called us to be a family in this place, and who ever since that fateful day on the cross has determined to show the rest of the world what it means to love. So y'all come on, be part of discerning St. John's next vision for the next many years ahead, and let's take up our cross and follow him. Amen.